Hi friends! It has been a minute to say the least, so grab a cup of tea and let me fill you in on how things have been. The past 6 months have been a whirlwind of highs and lows. I started a new job, I struggled with my mental health, and most excitingly, and as you can tell from the title of this video, I started DMing a D&D campaign. I'm no longer playing with Bellamy's group, and Marcella's group has been on hiatus since February, but we are about to start up again, so this is really the main way I have D&D in my life right now, and I am loving it. And as timing would have it, not long before I started this campaign, my new friends over at Sphinx Stationery sent me some of the cutest accessories. So let's dive into this GM journal and see how my campaign prep has been going. Starting off, the cover has a couple stickers on it. I've been picking up DM-themed stickers at cons I've gone to, so I'm excited to have a little collage to decorate the front as we continue in the campaign. Inside is a little pocket where I have some art stored that my players have done. We have a ton of artists in this campaign, which is so fun. On this first page, I have the campaign name, which is To the Skies, as well as the first partier of our group that I drew. The coolest thing about this journal is these wet erase pages. These front pages flip out so you can flip through the journal and see the session plans at the same time. I have some plans here from our last session where the party had some downtime in between quests. On the other side, you can see a listing of the party members. I have a party of 6, which is the perfect size for this journal. I love that this is wet erase because I can adjust these stats as the party levels up. They are currently level 3, and add any extra notes or things I want to remember during games. Next up, there are pages for each of the party members. I added stickers and art to customize these for each of the PCs a little more. Our party consists of 3 clerics, a ranger, and 2 fighters, so it's been very fun to customize combats for this group specifically. We then have a section of the journal that is for major events and historical timelines. I keep a lot of this in my Notion, but I've copied a lot of information here so I can have fewer tabs open during games. I run my games online, so I always like to be more engaged with my players whenever I have the option to. This is then followed by a place to jot down the main story arcs. I can't show these pages in detail because some of my players watch my videos. This is really just a hub for all of the main story beats, and I can keep the quests connected to them, which is super helpful. Up next is the World tab, which houses information about the city itself and the NPCs in it. I also printed out tiny versions of my NPC sketches to put in the portrait area, and it's a great way to have on-hand information and a visual guide about a lot of the significant characters in the campaign. And you might even see a familiar face here as one of my beloved PCs has taken up a teaching job at the city's university. This campaign is set in a homebrewed city in the sky that is inspired by some of the cities from my favorite D&D podcast, NADPod. It's got influences of Esri, Galateron, and Gladeholm in it that is a very arcane-heavy city that started floating 120 years before the campaign starts. My players, which consist of my partner and our friends, are unraveling the mysteries of the city in the sky and currently are communicating with a mysterious letter writer. I really love these sections for minor areas and items because they also work really well with these sticky notes. The item and shop sticky notes can fit over top of these sections, and then I can move them to my notes if I need them closer on hand during a session. There's another wet erase section right here in the middle in the sessions tab where you can break down the info you need for each session more in detail. Having things like encounter tables and a general summary of the session is really helpful for any last minute encounters your players might run into. I'm a DM that likes to plan a little bit and improv a little bit, so having a few notes and kind of a skeleton to go off of during the session is super helpful, and I love the way that this is set up so I have all the bare bones information I need. That section is followed by pages to do session reflections, which I really like. It can track information such as what your players have done and how that will affect the bigger plot of the story. I've noted things such as my players asking to or refusing to leave notes or communication with their mysterious letter writer, and that helps me when I'm session prepping to go, okay, here's what they did and here's how I can adjust to it. The next tab is just for quests. So far, my players are still in their first quest, so I've only filled one of these out so far, but I'm really excited to have a nice base of all the quests they've done, and it reminds me to put in things such as loot and treasure for each of their quests. And the last main section is for notes. This is in grid paper, which I love for note taking. In the notes tab, I will put things like quotes from the session, notes of things I want to catch up on, little recaps, just kind of keeping a general idea of what happened in that session if there's any little things that pop up. In the back of the book, there is one more wet erase spread, and this is where you can keep track of all of your combat. This is so helpful. I'm so excited to use this legendary foe page for when my players start fighting the big scary monsters, because there's a lot of things to keep track of, and I think I'll really appreciate having this broken down guideline to their stat block. There's also a space where you can write in all of the enemies in a combat. As you can see here, my party fought against an air elemental the last time I used this. It was really helpful having their damage types and a place to track their hit points right here in front of me. And on the far right is an initiative tracker. And I really like this because the book can open up to maybe my notes while the initiative tracker sits open on the side, which I think is super helpful. And that is basically it. That is a tour of my GM notes. I'm so excited to continue with this campaign. We are 6 sessions in and having so much fun. My players are theater kid energy to the max. They roleplay with each other. They're curious. They throw plot twists at me. They are a DM's dream to DM for. And I'm so excited to see how our adventures continue. I'm excited to get to share more notes as we move forward, as my players discover secrets and I can share more of what's going on in the journal. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm not sure how regularly I'll be making content, but I definitely want to keep making videos and doing things on social media. I missed it a lot. I needed a break, but I really missed making stuff. Also, I wanted to give a last shout out to Sphinx Stationery. Thank you so much for sending me such cool products. They also sent me a player notebook that my partner is using for her character Ren, her tiefling cleric. So if you'd like a tour of Ren's journal, let me know in the comments and maybe we can make a video together and I can show off how she's used her journal. I want to give an extra special shout out to Sphinx Stationery for being so kind and so patient over the last few months. They originally reached out to me when I was at my lowest, and they have been so kind and supportive throughout this really chaotic spring and summer. So not only if you buy products from them, you are getting fantastic items, but you are also supporting really great people. That's about it. So a sentence I haven't said in a long time. Until next time, keep it magical, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye, friends.